I never imagined my life would pivot in just 48 hours. But that's exactly what happened the week everything fell apart. My name is Noah Bennett. And for 3 years I believed I had finally built something stable with the woman I loved. Sophia Reynolds was a warm-voiced, soft-smiling woman who made even ordinary days feel lighter. At least, that's who she used to be. It started subtly. Late replies, a distracted tone, a softness in her voice that no longer belonged to me. I told myself she was tired, overwhelmed with work, maybe stressed about her mother's health. I convinced myself of anything that didn't include the truth. One evening I came home early from a business trip in Denver, hoping to surprise her with dinner reservations. Instead, I walked into a silence that felt too still. She was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, cheeks flushed in a way I hadn't seen in months. "Oh, Noah," she said, startled. "You're home early." "Flight landed ahead of schedule," I replied. "Who are you talking to?" She hesitated just long enough to confirm what I already feared. "No one. Just Claire," she said, naming her best friend. Too convenient. I wanted to believe her. God, I tried, but trust is a fragile thing. Once you notice a crack, you start seeing the whole structure differently. That night, she turned to face the wall in bed. She thought I didn't notice. I did. I noticed everything. 2 days later, the truth walked right up to me in the form of a notification I was never meant to see. Sophia's laptop dinged while she was in the shower. A message preview floated innocently on the screen. "I still can't believe it's you. Feels like old times again. Ryan." Ryan. Her first love. The man she once told me had broken her heart so deeply she could never go back. I guess she'd learned how. I didn't open the message. I didn't scroll. I didn't dig. The preview alone rewrote my entire understanding of our relationship. There's a specific kind of heartbreak that comes with realizing the person you share a bed with has someone else living in their heart. When she came into the living room later, hair damp, wrapped in a towel, I asked only one question. "Are you seeing him again?" She froze, the kind of freeze that isn't confusion, it's recognition. "Noah, it's not like that," she started. "Then what is it like?" Her mouth opened and closed. She didn't deny it. She didn't lie. She simply didn't know how to explain the betrayal she had carefully wrapped in secrecy. Finally, she whispered, "I didn't mean for anything to happen. He reached out a few months ago. We were just catching up. I didn't think it would matter." "Didn't matter?" I repeated. "To whom, you or us?" She looked down. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Then you shouldn't have answered him." There's a moment in every collapsing relationship when pain turns into clarity. That was mine. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I didn't demand an explanation she no longer deserved to give. I simply stood, grabbed my jacket, and said the words that ended our entire 3-year story. "I'll be gone for a while. Don't contact me." Her eyes widened, fear, regret, the beginning of consequences. "Noah, please. Can we talk?" "No," I said quietly. "Talking is what people do before they decide." "You already decided." I walked out the door and didn't look back. For 48 hours I disappeared. No calls, no texts, no explanations. I stayed in a quiet lakeside cabin near Lake Tahoe, rented from an older retired couple. No TV, no noise, just enough silence to hear myself think, something I hadn't done in months. I realized I wasn't just grieving her betrayal. I was grieving the version of myself that had tolerated the distance, the excuses, the emotional starvation. On the second night, as I stared at the dark water with the moon reflecting like a half-hearted apology, my phone buzzed. Dozens of missed calls and messages. One stood out. "Noah, please come home. Something happened. I need you. Sophia." I didn't reply. I didn't know then that by walking away, I hadn't just ended our relationship. I had ended the story she thought she controlled. When I finally drove back into the city the next morning, it wasn't because I wanted to see her. It was because something happened felt too urgent to ignore. I'm not heartless. Even betrayal doesn't erase basic humanity. But when I walked through the door of our apartment in Seattle, what I felt wasn't worry. It was confirmation. Sophia was sitting on the couch, eyes swollen from crying, clutching her phone like a lifeline that had already snapped. "What happened?" I asked, keeping my voice flat. She looked up at me with a mix of dread and desperation. "Noah, he came here. That stopped me." "Ryan," she nodded slowly. He showed up last night. I didn't let him in, I swear I didn't, but he kept knocking, saying he needed to talk, saying he didn't want to lose me again. I told him to leave. He wouldn't. So why did you message me? I asked. Because I didn't know what else to do, she cried. I didn't want him here. I wanted you. I wanted you to come home. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, the truth settling over me like a cold wind. She didn't want me. She wanted stability, protection, a man to clean up the mess she'd made. Sophia, I said quietly, you don't get to break someone's heart and then ask them to hold your hand while it falls apart. She wiped her cheeks, shaking her head. I know I messed up, Noah, but I never wanted things to go this far. I don't want him. I want us. I almost laughed, not out of humor but disbelief. You want us because you're scared, I said. Not because you love me. That's not true. It is, I replied. If I hadn't walked away, you'd still be messaging him. Her silence answered for her. Then she whispered something that revealed everything I needed to know. He said he still loves me. Her words didn't sting. They clarified. I finally saw the full picture. She had been living in two worlds, waiting to see which one would promise more validation. She hadn't chosen him or me. She had simply waited to see who would stay. I straightened up. He came here because you gave him space to think he could. No, Noah. You kept replying. You kept reminiscing. You let him back into your heart enough that he felt entitled to knock on our door in the middle of the night. Her face crumpled. I didn't think he would show up. That's the problem, I said. You never think past the moment. For a while, neither of us spoke. It felt like the quiet after a storm when everything is broken and scattered but strangely honest. Finally, Sophia whispered, "Can we fix this, please?" I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I had loved, the woman I had planned a future with, the woman who had spent months choosing someone else behind my back. But I wasn't the same man who had walked out 48 hours earlier. No, I said softly. We can't. Her breath hitched like she'd been punched. Noah, please. I'll block him. I'll do anything. Doing the right thing after you're caught isn't love, I said. It's fear. Tears streamed down her face. I don't want to lose you. You already did. There is a moment in every breakup when the truth lands so clearly that both people understand. This is the end. That moment passed between us like a shadow. I walked into the bedroom, packed a single suitcase, took my documents, chargers and keys and left everything else behind. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want a dramatic exit. I just wanted peace. When I returned to the living room, she stood there trembling. Where will you go? Somewhere I can breathe, I said, opening the door. Noah, please don't leave like this. I paused. This is me leaving with dignity, I said. The version of me you loved deserved better, and the version of me I'm becoming will never settle for less. Then I walked out. 2 weeks later, I learned through a mutual friend that Ryan had vanished from her life as quickly as he'd re-entered it. No explanations, no apologies, just gone. Her story with him ended exactly how it should have. Unfinished and painful. As for me, my story didn't end.